You're watching the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know. As usual, we are powered by Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine Online. If you want to have your finger on the pulse of everything hospitality, news, culture, events, look no further than Hospitality News and hospitalitynews.com and Hospitality Magazine Online. As usual, please, if you like what you're seeing, you like what you're watching, hit like and subscribe and share it to all your friends. Today's guest is Indu Kaur from Curry Club at Sagar. Is that right?
Sagar.
Sagar in Port Jefferson. Welcome, Indu. How are you?
Thank you, Chris.
All right,
I'm
all
doing
right.
well.
I'm gonna have to relax now. Like Dominic said, you're a very beautiful lady, and I'm feeling very nervous right now. You know, we met
Thank
we
you.
met we met recently, and I walked out of there and I said to Dominic, now that is a very you're like frightening to me. You're very professional. You're very smart, very knowledgeable, and you give off this wicked air of class. So to me, I'm like a little scared of that. So I'm gonna try and be very confident today, Indu. Okay.
Well, I'm very relaxed and I'm not as scary as you think, but
All right.
thank you
All
for the
right.
compliment.
Well, when we met the other day, other than, taking a tour of the restaurant and and sitting down and eating some incredible food, and we'll get to that, you were so nice, and you offered me an article written about you in the Brookhaven town of Brookhaven magazine. And there was I read that this morning before our interview, and I was so blown away by it. So I wanted to ask you, a little bit about that story and all, and go over that because from what I read this morning, I could see, as a child, you were born in India and then moved to Afghanistan. Is that correct?
Incorrect.
Incorrect. Born in Afghanistan,
Correct.
but your family and your family lineage was from India.
About 4 generations
Four
before.
generations. So,
So,
and again, that was a time in Afghanistan where it was actually a wonderful, beautiful place to live, and it was crazy how it was when I was reading through there, and you would get to the point when there was a Soviet invasion and when things started to turn kind of sour. I just got done watching Charlie Wilson's War. You saw that movie, right?
yes. Yeah.
Dominic, you're not going to believe it. I was watching the movie. Dominic, you saw that movie?
No, I did not.
You didn't see that? Oh, it's Tom Hanks, and it's this really great movie about the senator that
Yep.
put together his own war
Yes, he did.
to help the people of Afghanistan and obviously fight the Soviet Union and communism in the world. And
And
it was an awesome story. So tell me a
yeah.
little bit about time for you. You were a child at that time?
Yes, so I was very young. In fact, like I said, 4 generations that our family has been migrated in Kabul, Afghanistan. And yes, you are right. Kabul, Afghanistan was one of the best tourist place in the world.
Yeah.
It was the most beautiful geographical landscape that you could ever see. Yes, Soviet coming in brought in quite a disturbance. So yes, I was born
They
in
took
a
your people for granted, I think, the Soviets. They made a lot of
Complex.
mistakes over the years.
Totally. We all
You
agree
noticed
with
that,
that.
right, Dominic? They made
Yeah.
a lot of mistakes
Yeah.
over the years.
Yeah. So I was born in a very small village that you can only imagine. There were a couple, 1,000 people living there.
Wow.
So I was one of them. In the last generation, I would say in my family, last daughter was born and brought up, and I was born in small little village, Jalalabad.
And your dad was a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Wow, and
Yes.
owned like a pharmacy.
Yes. So it's rooted in him through his great grandfather.
Two generations,
Two
three
gener-
generations
three
of
I was
pharmacists.
3 generations because it was very common for in at that time to make medicine through homeopathic, through herbs and whatever was around them, that they
Wow.
grew everything just around the spice, around the plants to heal in any kind of situation. You could get a cut, have a sore throat, headache, they would have all these herbs
Really?
with them at home. So it's just kind of rooted in my father, through his father, like that.
Now, was this is this was a typical way to get medication in Afghanistan at that time, or was that still homeopathic medicine was still like an alternative way? And
Well, there was no Western medicine back
they
in
didn't
the
have
days.
that.
You can just imagine. You're talking about almost couple 100 years ago, three, 400
Right.
years ago. Well, there was no such thing as, medicines back then. So they had to make their own meds
Wow.
through spices, through herbs, through anything that they were able to find. That's homeopathic. It's been going on till now. It's actually one of the most holistic Ayurvedic homeopathic medicine that they take these alternative medicines to treat themselves
Right on.
in all these back in the days.
Now, was that like professionally trained at universities then, or that was something that you learned through your
Passed
family?
on,
Passed
passed on through family.
Passed
Yes,
on.
yes.
Wow.
Hmm.
So Soviet Union comes to Afghanistan, turmoil goes wild. You guys move back to India as a family. No?
Well, from there was a journey. So you go from a small village to the main city,
To
which is
Kabul.
Kabul.
Right.
That's where most of the, I guess, non-Muslim, which would be us, Sikh families moved in,
Right.
and that was more safe because we had our Sikh temple there. So kind of we made our own little community. So that was the next safest place, and my father did extremely well from going to small little village to the city, and we did very well over there
Well, it seems like
until
your father had a strong business acumen no matter what.
no matter
We
from
could see that here. Now we'll get to that too, right? Yeah.
yes, yes,
Your
yes,
dad understood business and how to and I guess making people well and feeding people good food is kind of like almost like the same thing at times, right? I mean, you're not
absolutely.
curing anybody, but you are making them feel better, right?
Nurturing and nourishing people
Right.
is my father's, and soul, body, mind. He's all about that, and I think it got carried on to me.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been always very loving, caring, kind of a human being.
I met your dad, right,
Mhm.
Tom? I met his dad that day.
That's when we were walking in.
Yes, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so describe now. So again, now, Charlie Wilson and the Americans, they they scare the Soviets away,
Yeah.
and now, excuse me, this is the birth of the Taliban at this point, or this is the first time we hear of,
First time, kind
you
of just
know,
overnight,
right,
everything just turned around, and I would say, when they came in, there was a turmoil. I was a young girl, maybe around 10ish or so,
right.
and it was just our life changed
Not a lot of respect for women Muslims.
big time.
Not a-
None, none.
No, not at all. So that at that point, your father and your family knew that this was not going to be a safe place for them.
My father knew because we were three little daughters,
Right.
mother and a wife.
All
So,
girls,
and
yeah.
all girls in the house, one man to take care of everybody. He had four sisters at the same time as well
Wow.
to take care of all of us. We were nine of us.
Your
So
dad was a real ladies' man, I guess.
totally.
I could see that. I could see that.
Yeah, he did his best to, take care of all of us. And he still does.
I'm sure he does. I could see
Mhm.
that. So, when you went back to India, was that that was always going to be a temporary situation? He would always wanted to come to America, or?
I believe my father already had back of his mind, where he wanted to get established.
Right.
I believe this was a journey that he was just getting through from one
Uh-huh.
stop to the other. He did apply, and he did get accepted through government to be able to come here right from Kabul. But this was a little mid journey
Okay.
that we had to do like a pit stop.
Now he lived always in New York when you guys came here.
Yes, they landed in here in JFK, right to Rocky Point area.
Rocky
I
Point
think that's,
area.
believe, your area,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Setauket I live in.
Setauket,
yeah.
yes. So yeah, that's where he landed. But
And
he,
immediately went into the restaurant business.
well, he didn't know what he could get into. So
Okay.
how it started was my mom's brother already was here, and his name is Chani Singh, and he was the top 10
That's the guy with the
chef
ponytail.
with a ponytail.
Yeah,
You
I
know
that.
him.
I've met him a few
In
times.
Long
Great
Island. He was
guy.
actually picked one of the top 10 chef.
He
one
was
of
the big
time.
chef, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I remember. He was the big chef.
yeah, he was back in the days. And then I guess the brother-in-law and my father, they both decided, how are we going to do and survive here? And he said, well, I'll cook and you can invest and you the business mind. And my father and they both got together.
I mean, just to look at that restaurant, it's
Yeah.
a railway car. The
Railway
original
car.
Curry Club was a railway car, right?
Correct, but before that was the Bliss small little kitchen that they actually started their journey there.
Really?
It was just a small little restaurant, and they said it was like maybe like 5 to 6 tables
Where Bliss is now.
where
Is that-
Bliss is now.
Wow.
and I believe they became so famous and so popular that they could not accommodate
They
more
couldn't do it.
people. They couldn't do it until they had to, make an approach and make a bigger decision to get the next door property and the train to have
It's
that.
such a cool property.
There was such a cool
So
property.
cool.
So yeah,
And like, it was like those were fancy restaurants to go to. You didn't just it wasn't like Indian restaurants weren't a place of like, hamburgers and hot dogs. They were always like
high
real
end,
dining, high level dining.
real authentic taste. That's the quality that I love about my family. That no matter what they did, they always wanted to present the original, authentic. No matter what they did,
Right.
they did in pharmacy.